Today's video is sponsored by We Crochet.
2020 brought the world to a screeching halt after the spread of a little virus you may know. With the recovery efforts gradually coming to fruition, the many changes from the lockdown are plainly apparent. It's already impacted things like consumer behavior and even fashion choices. The pandemic ushered in a new era of DIY crafts such as crochet, and it's not too difficult to understand why. The last time crochet saw this much popularity was in the 60s and 70s when the generation renewed interest in crochet, particularly in the United States and UK, with many funky designs. Granny squares became super popular around this time. You were able to find easy patterns on everything from clothing, bags, and decor. Crochet never left us, but it has officially made its rise back to the top in some surprising ways, with designers reinventing classic techniques and offering a fresh new take to platforms for sharing and learning crochet. Crochet has been used by artists to create topical pieces that are often thought-provoking or political. Most of us use crochet simply as a fresh and exciting medium for creating new things. In this video, we're going to discuss what's happening right now in the world of crochet.
Today's video is sponsored by We Crochet. If you've never heard of We Crochet, they're the sister company to Knit Picks that caters directly to crocheters. At We Crochet, you'll find a huge selection of yarns that's perfect for any thrifty shopper. We Crochet offers all types of yarn, from the cheap and cheerful to the rich and luxurious. They have the highest quality of yarns for the lowest prices, guaranteed. My favorite yarn is Bravo worsted weight. You'll probably notice a lot of my patterns use it because it's the right price and the right feel for my project. They have tons of free and paid crochet patterns from designers all over the world. It's a one-stop shop for all your yarn addictions. So make sure you head over to crochet.com to check out some of their yarns for your very next project.
Before we get into today's crochet trends, we're going to step back in time just a little. We're going to pick up where I left off in my original crochet history video. That one began in 6500 BC. You can find out about that video right here. Since so many events led to today's crochet, we're going to start back in the 1980s. Fashion of the 1980s placed a heavy emphasis on cheap clothes, fashion accessories, and very poofy hair. The clothes were bright and loud. Fashion changed as a reaction against the granny square loving hippie movement of the past decade. The 80s were full of preppies, punks, and b-boys. Not a great breeding ground for yarn crafts. The popularity of crochet showed a sharp decline during this period in the Western world. Sales of patterns and yarn slumped, and the craft was increasingly seen as old-fashioned, and children were really taught yarn crafts in school. Not to mention that machine-knitted items were a lot cheaper and more available, which made it a no-brainer purchase. They also came in unique designs, perfect for the 80s, which gave consumers access to quick, fast, and cheap yarn-made items. Crochet and knitwear lost popularity over new fashions such as spandex, ripped jeans, and mullets. Micro-knit synthetic fabric is produced more cheaply and quickly. These fabrics could easily be printed with fashionable designs. Although made from knit fabric, they were not considered knitwear. These new trends, along with the moving away from formality in clothing, knitwear became associated with fancy casual. Dressing up for everyday wear wasn't necessary. You know, like going to the store in my pajamas. By the 1990s, many suppliers to the home crochet market ceased to produce or sell yarn, while local shops experienced a sharp decrease in numbers. Despite this, home crocheting still had a strong and loyal following. The 90s brought another fashion change and changing views towards the craft of crochet. Fashion and technology was changing at a fast pace. Yarn crafts were seen as old-fashioned and at its lowest point in popularity. The remaining support came from the crochet lovers of the 60s and 70s, books, magazines, and craft fairs for those wanting to share their skill with others. But newer generations weren't picking up on the craft. Why crochet when you just got introduced to the World Wide Web? But what was once the final nail in the crochet coffin was actually the boost that crochet needed to survive in this new technological age. The internet enabled crocheters to share advice, patterns, and experience, but it also meant that home crocheters had direct access to supplies, not needing local yarn stores or books. These trends continued, yet to the detriment of small yarn shops. If you'd like me to do a video on this topic, please comment down below. The 2000s brought with it a new online crochet community. Once a solo craft, you are now able to share it with friends from all over the world. According to Alison Menezes' study about the effects of loneliness and connection on female crocheters and knitters in Facebook, she states regardless of geographical distance or never physically meeting members, these ties develop become significant as they stir their interest to crochet, their images of finished items, or frustrations at problems to solve. Tons of communities were showing up online at this time. Were you a member of any of these online yarn groups in the early 2000s? Another unique practice starting to arise around this time was yarn bombing. The practice is believed to have originated in the United States. The start of this movement has been attributed to Magna Saeed from Houston, who says she first got the idea in 2005 when she covered the door handle on her boutique with a custom-made cozy. Since then, yarn bombing's popularity has spread throughout the world. A well-known famous crochet yarn bomber, London Kay, creates yarn bomb graffiti. In addition to her installation, creates advertisement yarn bombs for brands like Valentino and Miller Lite. Kay's received backlash for her installations when they hung in public unauthorized, and one installation in Brunswick called Moonshine Kingdom was met with arguments that sprayed graffiti is persecuted and illicit, while trendy yarn graffiti is not criminalized. Public outcry concerning the installation labeled this type of graffiti as a symbol of gentrification, although an article in the New York Times claimed a double standard in criticism of yarn bombing, and that women's work is seen as cutesy and inherently less valuable. Yarn bombing has been under more scrutiny for the potential negative environmental impacts that yarn can leave when placed on plant life. According to Odyssey.com, yarn can restrict the sap production on trees and constrict growth. The knitted or crocheted material requires removal and cleanup. If left behind, installations become soggy and synthetic fibers litter the environment. So, what's your opinion on this topic? Being such a niche industry, crochet magazine sales began to decline due to cheaper and easier access digital magazines instead of the paper magazines. Crochet is a small portion of an already niche industry of fiber arts. Most magazines release every other month or quarterly. According to feltmagnet.com, the fact that magazines today aren't published as frequently reflect the need to limit production in the market to keep it affordable to print these magazines and to make sure that they don't have to disappear off the market as well. Crochet books and magazines were once the heart of the crochet subculture, but it's hard to connect with anybody on a page. Online magazines not only offer patterns, but articles and videos. They bring connection and enrichment to crocheters worldwide. As the internet progressed, so did the craft of crochet. The internet allowed a larger crochet community to form. We were able to share our interests and learn from each other, whether across the street or across the globe. Patterns from both print and online sources have inspired groups known as crochet-alongs or cows, centered on crocheting specific patterns. Crochet podcasts have also emerged, information-rich blogs, and online magazines. Traditional designs and techniques that have been preserved by a relatively small number of crocheters are now finding a wider audience as well. You may have noticed throughout the history of crochet the lack of diversity in the craft. In the early 2010s, before I even started my crochet channel, it was rare to see a person of colors. The few times I did, it was either the Double Dutch twins who worked with Red Heart at the time, or Twinkie Chan, both who deserve their own video because they're like OG pioneers. Yarn companies and yarn magazines were the people in charge of creating and finding crochet influencers and designers. 99% of the time, those designers were white, leading to the false belief that crochet was a solely white craft. If you wanted to crochet, you had no other option but to follow a pattern that was available to you. But thanks to the internet, POC designers found a way to get their patterns seen. During the 2010s, crochet blogs, free patterns, Etsy, and Ravelry, they all took off, offering ways for self-published crochet designers to get their work into the world without asking the man for permission. The craft began to grow at a faster pace. Once it went to YouTube, it began to become a moving visual medium. It changed forever. A little YouTube fun fact. On July 23rd, 2006, one of the first crochet videos was uploaded to YouTube by this artist here. So can anybody translate exactly what this title says? Because I don't speak Spanish. Some of the first English-speaking crochet YouTubers were The Crochet Crowd and Nastasia. If you know any early crochet YouTuber pioneers, please comment down below. These early pioneers brought me back to crochet. I was able to watch it on my phone or find a cool free pattern on my computer. I didn't have to buy a crochet book or magazine. I chose the designer I liked, and many other people around the world decided to do the same thing. People became dedicated followers to Bag a Day Crochet or Jaded and Stitches. Thus began the crochet influencer. During the beginning of the pandemic, the floodgates of new crocheters came pouring in. Whether to pass time, disconnect from the screen, or cope with anxiety, people started picking up hooking. With the use of social media, crocheters are able to share and showcase their love for the craft. Take a scroll through Instagram or TikTok to find Gen Zers making magic with yarn. Teens and young adults document their creative process, from inspiration through completion. Affordability is the top priority, with many replicating garments that would otherwise be well out of their price range, like Harry Styles' J.W. Anderson sweater that costs $1,500. Some content creators will actually teach you how to make something, while others will take you along for the cozy ride. The fashion industry is definitely taking notice. Your grandma's favorite pastime is a major trend. Tops, dresses, pants, swimwear, and even accessories like bags, hats, and shoes are made with crochet. The founder of knitwear accessories label, Memorial Day, turned her own crocheting hobby into a business after losing her job during the midst of the pandemic. Now her hats and bikinis are seen on trendsetters like Kylie Jenner and Bella Hadid. She says, "The way crochet is done is truly intricate, unique, and made to last. Crochet can only be done by hand, so I think there's something special about having an accessory that's unique and handmade." Learn more about crochet machines right here. I did a whole video on the topic. But that's crochet high fashion. Let's talk about the low down, dirty, fast fashion. Have you seen the crochet top everybody's talking about from Walmart? This piece has a lot of people pissed off, and understandably why. We feel as if big business are trying to profit off our work as small designers. They see you online doing it big and want to cash in for themselves. As a lone sleuth, I tried to research where all these things are being manufactured, but first you need to learn about fair trade. Fair trade brings products from poorer regions into more developed economies, and minimum prices agreed upon to make sure producers will be able to earn a living wage and have safe working conditions. Walmart is currently fair trade certified, so I can't definitely say if these items were made in a sweatshop, and they claim they're moving to a more sustainable direction. But I'm not going to pretend like Walmart didn't have a bloody past. In 2012, a garment factory fire in Bangladesh killed 112 people. Another incident in 2013, Rana Plaza collapse, caused over 1,000 garment workers to lose their lives. Since this incident, Walmart has cleaned up its ways. According to the website, they're now offering fair trade fashion choices called Free Assembly, which focuses on sustainable materials through largely unmentioned companies. The brand Free Assembly relies on fair trade factories, at least in its denim line. It's similar to what many ethical fashion brands use to assure customers that they're not underpaying their workers. Trust me, I tried to find out exactly where it came from. If you know any information about this type of stuff, please comment down below. A huge problem surrounding fair trade organizations is that they often engage in companies that behave unethically. Fair trade can't guarantee that organizations will be able to sell their fair trade certified products under those agreed conditions, which include minimum prices and premiums. But if you would like to learn more about crochet and fast fashion, you're going to want to check out this video right here. Yeah, I do a lot of these videos. Crochet has long been seen as activity meant for grandmothers or stay-at-home wives, and has often been associated with the homely look. But these misconceptions are being challenged currently. I believe since the 60s and 70s that the soul of crochet has been put back into the craft again. Online magazines, YouTube, social media, and online communities led to home design crochet items that reflect your personal style, not just following a pattern a yarn manufacturer tells you to make. More patterns are being sold by indie crochet designers on online platforms, and there's even more amazing crochet patterns on YouTube, such as my channel. If you missed part 1 of Crochet's amazing history, make sure you check it out right here. And make sure you check out all my other crochet videos, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye guys.